All right, and the journey begins. Welcome everyone to my first ever YouTube video. My name is Mo. This is my channel, Invest with Mo. Today I'm going to be walking you guys through my public Robinhood account. It's looking like at about 63,350 right now, which is pretty solid. You know, I'm 22 years old. I've been investing for about 4 years now. But just recently, this past year, since April, I feel like I've really figured out a successful and effective strategy, and I want to share it with the world because I believe that this is life-changing information. If you can see it and if you can utilize it to your advantage, then truly it can be a life changer. So if you look at my one day, earlier in the day, just at about 8 o'clock in the morning, I was actually up almost $4,000 just in one day. So like I'm telling you guys, this is life-changing stuff. So you really just have to commit and try to learn. You look at the 1 week over here, up $7,000, 72 almost $7,200 in 1 week. I mean, that's a lot of money we're talking about, guys. You know, you look at the 3 month, 28, almost $29,000. That's a lot of money. It's a lot of money, guys, for 3 months. As you can see, just in this last year over here, I've almost doubled my account. I'm up 94% in value. So it really shows you just the opportunity that you have on the stock market, especially with this trading strategy that I've been using, which consists of mainly selling cash secured puts and buying leaps options. Of course, I do have a little bit of cryptocurrency. I wouldn't say it's too significant. I also have a couple hundred shares of Nvidia stock as well as SoFi stock. Right now, it is a very bullish market, so I'm not currently selling covered calls. But say the market were to head the other way, I would be hedging my shares and selling covered calls. That way, I can get some premium in case it does, the value of the stock does go down. So I'm just going to continue here. I'm going to try to walk you guys through my holdings. This is going to be the first one. So I'm only selling these HIMS cash secured puts for right now. And I'm really bullish on AMD if you couldn't tell. So let's just go ahead and walk you through. So we have HIMS right now. I have two $48 puts sold, and these are going to expire August the 22nd. I sold them for about $4.95 a piece. So if you guys don't know how options work, even though it says $4.95 here, each option is about 100 shares. So you're going to go ahead and multiply this by 100 for each contract. Since I sold two contracts, I should be getting paid almost $1,000 for these in just a little. So I sold them in the beginning of July, and it's expiring almost towards the middle or halfway to the end of August. So, you know, in just 1 month, you can make, or a little bit over a month, you can make $1,000, you know, putting up for these, it's $48 a put. So for $10,000, you can make $1,000. That's a 10% return on your money. That's a big deal. So yeah, it's a very powerful strategy, these cash secured puts. And if you don't know how these work, so I'm selling the option for someone to sell me their shares at $43. So I would be getting 200 shares of HIM stock at $43 if it were to drop to this price or below this price. As of right now, HIMS is at about $60. So that's why you see I'm about 60% in the money. It's because, you know, it's most likely not going to hit this $43 mark, and I'm just going to collect this $4.95 per share, per option. Let's just continue here. HIMS is a great stock. They have great revenue, great earnings. They put up good numbers. So companies like that, it's a win-win when selling cash secured puts. Because one way, you're getting paid $1,000 in premium in a month. The other way, you get to pick up cheaper shares. You know, it's $60 right now, but if it were to drop $17, then I would get the shares. That's a win to me. That's a win. I'm just saying. Next up, we have Oscar Health. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys this one just because I want you to see that even though this is a very powerful strategy, there are times when your calls, so this is supposed to be a leaps option, but it's actually a little bit shorter. Generally, leaps are 1 year plus into the future. But as you can see here, this one's going to expire in January of 2026. So it's not quite a whole year away. But I believe that Oscar Health is going to make some big changes into the healthcare system, and I think they can really make a difference. So I have a Leaps option contract on it, and yeah, I mean the current price is 13,989, but hopefully it goes up. My break even is at about $19. I do have almost 5 months left on the contract, so yeah, we'll see. This one is a little bit of more of a fun play than anything else, I would say. Generally, I do try to invest in stocks that are producing great numbers. A great example of that is going to be Adobe. Adobe is a money-making machine. You know, they have great margin, gross and net margin. You know, it almost doesn't get better than Adobe. Of course, a lot of people are scared for Adobe because they're saying, oh, AI is going to make everything that Adobe does. It's going to make it a little bit obsolete. But in my opinion, their software is very sticky. I know that at work I use a lot of Adobe software, and I know that it's very popular, not in just the commercial sector, but also in the private sector, government. Everybody uses Adobe, and I think that they will eventually integrate AI into their software. So I'm very bullish on this. As you can see, I have a Leaps contract. Again, it's not quite a year into the future. This one expires in March of 2026. But I'm up a couple $100 on it right now. My break even is 408.50. And anyway, the stock price right now is at 371, which is pretty good. It's done pretty well since I opened this contract. For the sake of time, I'm just gonna go ahead and continue this. AMD, that's the one. So if you don't know what AMD is a semiconductor production company. They do a lot of things, but the reason that I'm very bullish on AMD is because NVIDIA is the current largest AI chip production company. They are the leaders in the AI revolution as far as who's producing all the chips to get all of these big companies like Meta, Amazon, Google, you know, who is producing all of the chips, the powerful AI chips? It's NVIDIA. But as of right now, nobody's there to compete with NVIDIA. But AMD is going to be releasing these new 350 chips and then the TI 400 chips. These are going to be very powerful, and they're going to have some competition with NVIDIA. The reason that I'm so bullish on AMD is because NVIDIA overprices their products, and they overprice it by a lot. The reason for that is they have no competition. So when you have no competition, you are all of the supply and there's all of this demand, you can overprice your products. But when a competitor like AMD comes in with a great CEO like Lisa Su, and they're developing these new chips that are going to be able to compete with NVIDIA's chips, what does that tell you? That tells you that this stock is most likely going to go up. You know, they have these chips that are some of the only chips out there that can compete with NVIDIA's products. And because NVIDIA's products are so expensive, AMD doesn't even have to sell their products for a cheap price. They can sell it for also an expensive price, but they can undercut it just a little bit and they can still make a whole lot of money. The reason for this is because there is so much need for these AI chips right now. It is one of the most it is one of the biggest growing markets right now, and AMD is just joining the game. NVIDIA has been running the game for the last few years, and AMD is just now starting to join the game. You know, they're going to release these new chips pretty soon. There was news yesterday that instead of a $15,000 price point, it's actually going to be a $25,000 price point. So what does that tell you? AMD is going to be making a lot of money in these next few years. So what do I have on it? A whole lot of call options, a whole lot of leaps specifically. So as you can see, most of them are a year plus into the future. So I have this one right here. This leaps option is expiring in June of 2026. So when I bought this one, it was actually a full year away. This is generally how you're supposed to buy these leaps. You buy a call option that is 1 year into the future. You try to shoot for a 0.7 delta. I'll try to break down the technical analysis that I do before buying one of these options in a later video. just to keep the video nice and short, a little bit short. But yeah, so we have that one, and then I have those three other ones. One of them that I opened up very recently. This one I opened up fairly recently. If we look at it, I opened this one up literally today, 14 hours ago. The reason for this is because of the news that the new chips they're releasing are going to be $10,000 more expensive per chip, which is still undercutting Nvidia at $45,000 per chip. You know, so they can really charge a decent price for these, and they will get great. Like a lot of people will go to AMD instead of Nvidia because it still undercuts Nvidia's price, right? So I wanted to open up another one. These have been my bread and butter for the past couple months, and I think we're going to see AMD at $200 before the end of the year. So if you're looking for somewhere to start, this is what I recommend. Not financial advice. Anyway, let's continue on here. Let's see what else. So most of it is in AMD. Generally, I am selling cash secured puts more than I am buying leaps, but because we have had such a bullish market recently, I think that buying leaps is a great way to increase your account. You know, I've almost doubled my account in the past couple months here. So if you look at my all-time, but you look at the 1 year, I made all of my money in just this past year, really. Like since April, you know, when we saw that big crash in April because of the whole tariff scare, since that time, that's when I've made all of my money. You know, you see it's going up in a straight line almost. But you got to really capitalize, and I think it's important for people to understand that opportunities like this are not that rare. You know, you can make a lot of money on the market, whether it's selling cash secured puts or buying leaps, but you can double, triple your money in a year. And obviously, this has been a great year so far, but most people who invest in the stock market, they're going towards the S&P, they're going for that 8% return per year. There is a much better opportunity out there, and that is selling options. Options are a very lucrative um, strategy that you can use. Of course, there's the wheel strategy that's very popular, which is to sell cash secured puts to get in and then sell covered calls to get out. Obviously, I have some cash secured puts sold right now. In this last year, that's mainly what I've done just to get to this point. But I'm very bullish on AMD, and I think we're going to see it at $200. So I have been buying calls on it. Of course, when you do buy a call, try to buy a leaps call, which is a year into the future. That way you give yourself some time in case it does drop a little bit, that it has time to recover and hopefully go up a little bit more so you can make some profit, you know, or exercise and hold the shares because this is a great company and we're going to see it make some really good money over the next couple of years. Let's continue here. So we have Ethereum. This is just my crypto. I'm honestly not huge into crypto, but I think that sometimes it's just fun to play crypto, honestly. I think we can all agree to that. But I generally try not to go too crazy on crypto because it's volatile and you don't really have a company backing your stock, you know, unlike AMD, which is producing these chips. Ethereum is more just like, you know, is it the cycle? Is the crypto cycle green right now, or are we going to see a bearish cycle? But yeah, I'm pretty big into ETH. I think Pepe is at a pretty good price right now at 12 cents. But generally, I want to keep this account mainly options trading. So let's just move forward with this one. Okay, so NVIDIA. You might notice that I have almost exactly 100 shares. Now, why do I have exactly 100 shares? The reason for this is because I sold a cash secured put on NVIDIA back in, I want to say, March. Let's see. These are some covered calls. So I sold. These are some covered calls that I played. Where are we? April. Right here. So back in March, I got assigned 100 shares of NVIDIA. Now, what getting assigned means is kind of like how I talked about HIMS earlier, is if it dropped down to that $43 point, you might have to pick up 100 shares of this stock at $43. So I ended up picking up 100 shares of NVIDIA at, I want to say, $120 even. And it actually ended up dropping to $95 a share. So what does that mean? I was down a hefty amount for a little bit there. I was down about 2.5 grand, if not more. But you look at it now, it has bounced back and it's up even more, and I'm up almost $6,000 on it. So I'm gonna hold Nvidia. I was talking about AMD and the power that they're gonna have, and the fact that they're gonna be able to produce these chips that undercut Nvidia's chips. Um, but at the same time, Nvidia is the big dog, and they are going to be selling chips left and right. The AI revolution has just begun. I think we are just in the beginning, and you're going to see these big companies spend billions, hundreds of billions, and trillions of dollars on these chips. And all that money is going to go to Nvidia, it's going to go to AMD, it's going to go to these big companies, and we know where it's going. So why not invest in it? Why not get your part of the pie? Go out there and get a piece. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm glad that I got put these shares, 100 shares at $120. That's a pretty good deal, honestly, looking at it now. I think I'm just going to sit here and hold it, and then if we ever see a bear market, I'll probably start selling covered calls, just to hedge my position. Moving forward here, our last position in this account is going to be SoFi. SoFi is another stock that I was put a lot of shares on back in March. My average price here is about $14 a stock, $14 a share. And I think this company is revolutionizing banking. I personally use SoFi to bank. It's just a cool platform. I think that what's cool about SoFi is when they bring you in, when you download the app, you get stuck. They have a lot of opportunities on there, whether it's helping you with student loans, whether it's a house loan. There's a lot of different ways that SoFi retains customers. And once you get in, you end up using their program more and you end up doing more business with them. So I think this is a great banking opportunity. Another thing that's cool about SoFi is they have no physical locations. So this is more like a Gen Z type of bank where it's all online. But what's cool about that is there's no overhead. You don't have to pay employees to be there every day. You don't have to pay the lease. You don't have to pay rent at these locations. It's an online bank. So that's a great plus. And I think this company is going to do great things. If you look at it just today, even it was at what, $25 almost, up 20% in a day. Yeah, it's been pretty crazy so far. Unfortunately, it saw a pretty big dip. So but I think we're going to go ahead and see this one probably about $25. I want to say the end of the week, if not the end of, I guess we're almost done with July here. But I think SoFi is a great opportunity. And what's cool about it is the market cap is not huge. $25 billion is not a large market cap for a bank. We could see hundreds of $billions of dollars if they keep playing their cards right, and I think they will. Okay, I think that wraps it up for this video. This has just been an introduction to my account. I wanted to go ahead and show you guys what I'm holding and the reasoning behind it. I want to go ahead and make another video probably about technical analysis. That'll probably be in a new video. But if you guys enjoyed me going through my account and my holdings, go ahead and give this video a like. I would really appreciate that. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.